Now, just imagine you're a tiny little mongoose and you pop your head out of your front door in an evening, maybe to catch the last few rays of sun, maybe spend a bit of time foraging, and you look in completely the wrong direction because about 2 meters behind you is a very sleepy leopard. I think that mongoose is aware of him, but it's still a very interesting image because he just looks like he's looking in completely the wrong direction. He's busy looking at the vehicles, or for the rest of his, possibly the rest of his family. I think what probably you'll find is that the leopard moved across and lay down on the termite mound, and the mongoose all scattered, and this particular individual, oh shame, squeaking, he raced into a hole as a place of safety and discovered that nobody else had joined him, and he's now trying to reconnect with the rest of his family without racing out of the hole and exposing himself to the attentions of the leopard. Shame. Now, it's great to have viewers sending through questions, and we've got one from Chantal, who's watching us in England. Chantal, you wanted to know at which age leopards are considered to be seniors, so how long do they live in the wild? And he would definitely be approaching what I wouldn't call him senior. I'd say that he's right in his prime. He's in the really mature, dominant age of a leopard at about 9 years old. And they can live anywhere up to 21 years in the wild, but the average is probably quite a bit lower than that. So we're talking in the region of 13, 14, 15. And you'll find most likely the females will live longer. So they, in terms of dog age and senior age, for big dogs their size, they live a little bit longer. Well, actually it would be a very big dog that was the size of Tingana. They're a little bit longer lived than those large breeds of dogs, but they approach their senior years at around, I would say, into the around 11 to 15 would be a senior leopard, which is what Karula is currently approaching. And as I said, the males probably have slightly shorter lifespans than the females in the wild because of the degree of competition. Territorial battles between males tend to be a lot fiercer. Now, the one thing about the fact that Arathusa has been an amazingly active place at the moment is that a lot of these sightings are in demand. There are other people waiting to enter this leopard sighting, so it's time for us to leave him. And if there's space for us to come back, then we will. We're still waiting for a turn to go to the wild dogs once again. I'll let you know if that is likely to happen. At the moment, there's still quite a few vehicles waiting to move in there. Alrighty, I'll take your last few screenshots of a beautiful Tingana sleeping on the termite mound, framed by the setting sun. With his tummy in that dip that Christine suggests, it almost looks like he dug that hole for his large tummy. And Christine, he does certainly found himself a comfortable spot with a nice hollow for his belly, but leopards are good at that. Doesn't matter where you find a leopard sleeping, they always look incredibly comfortable. Well, thank you, beautiful boy, for your time on this beautiful African evening. It's time for us to go and head out and see where we end off. Turn around here, as well as let the guys know that we are pulling out of the leopard sighting. Stations are leaving lock of Madura Ingwe, 2 vehicles on lock, 1 approaching. setting to have a beautiful leopard sighting. And Tingana really is I think, but I'm biased, but I think he's the best looking of a good looking bunch. I really think he is quite stunning. I still haven't seen the Anderson male though. We'll have to wait for that particular privilege. Seems as though the Anderson has been pushed quite far into the west. I did get an amazing picture that was shared of the Anderson male and Saleyeshe's female cub. Saleyeshe is a female that's on the other side of Arathusa around Elephant Plains. She's the dominant female there, and she's got a female cub who's only a couple of months old. It's good timing that we left when we did, because I think there's another vehicle sitting waiting for their chance to come into our leopard sighting. Now, as I do a loop around the airstrip, I'm just going to have a look and see who's with the Birmingham boys at the moment. My word, we're spoiled for sightings today. This place has been full of action. We'll go and see what those Birminghams are up to. They're very, very close as the crow flies, but we do have to do a bit of a loop around them. Just want to show you something quickly. The consequences, we don't always see this in a thick vegetated area, but we've got a nice open space here. And the consequences of a buffalo herd moving through an area. The buffalo herd, breeding herd, was only here for a couple of hours, and without focusing too closely you can see evidence of their deposits. And for an area like this that's nice and open without much grass cover, it's a perfect state, or in a perfect state for the beginnings of erosion. There's just not a lot of plant material here to help hold down the soil when it starts to rain. And that little bit of buffalo dung has a very, very high moisture content, as well as plenty of nutrients, much like manure. Oh, that's a spectacular sky. And it's just an example of how big herds can benefit as well as damage areas, depending on how they use them. Look at that sunset. Oh, that blaze of an outline around the clouds. You've heard the expression, every cloud has a silver lining. It seems like my experience of sunsets in Africa, every cloud has a golden lining. Stunning afternoon. Just sitting, listening to the tones of the Birchall starling, as well as the approaching vehicle who wants to be able to get to Tingana. So we might have to move off the road a bit sooner than I would like. Oh, okay, he's giving us a wide berth very kindly. Alright, I'm going to go and head across, see if we can get back to the lions. There are a couple of people who are waiting to see them, so we might have to wait our turn again. We've been very lucky this afternoon. We've skipped most of the queues. sunset to watch. And Lynn, you are absolutely right. Now we can sit and watch the sunsets, and I know when I go to take pictures of them, it never really truly captures the magnificence of it. But we're so lucky at Wild Earth to have the gifted cameraman such as Jean-Ray, who was filming that sunset, who are able to reproduce the wonders that we see and share them all the way across the world. Jeffrey, you're watching all the way in Texas. I'm sorry there's no cheetah, but I'm glad that you have enjoyed the drive nonetheless. It has been it's actually been a spectacular few days. We've been incredibly lucky with our sightings, and it makes being out here so exciting. You just never know what your day is going to bring. But the sunset safari is not over, Jeffrey. We could come around the corner and bump into a cheetah. It's unlikely, but we could. That's the joy of the live safari, is that you just never know what's going to turn up when. We were sitting with that beautiful view of Tingana stretched out across the termite mound, and Penny, you were wondering how long his tail is, and the answer is almost 2/3 of his body length, so it's close to 2 meters long, or about 1.5 meters probably is more accurate, and heavy. Their tails, having felt the tails of darted leopard, they are incredibly well weighted, and that is a way of helping balance them in the way that they stalk and move through an area. That tail is oh so important in all that leopards do, both from balancing to pouncing to climbing trees and providing that extra little bit of balance as they move forward, almost like what do you call that? A counterlever, that's the word I'm looking for. I was going with seesaw, but that wasn't exactly right. Alright, got a free spot on the Game Drive channel to talk. You have to line up to talk on the Game Drive channel, let alone see the animals this afternoon. There's just so much going on. Our stations, what are the position of the Madach at the moment? Okay, copy. Just to confirm, they've all crossed, or just some of them? Copy that, thanks. What's the standby position for those bunt ones? I'd like to make my way there. Alrighty, well, it seems as though we have some luck, and one thing I want to do is I want to pass on a message to Scott that I'm not sure if he's received. A lot of the family members have crossed onto Djuma from to see some of the pups, but the rest of the family have crossed onto Djuma. Now, I'm not sure what Scott is up to at the moment and how things are going on his side, but once I get a little bit closer, then I'll be able to convey that message on the Game Drive channel. Is there a bush baby there? Oh, Jean-Ray spotted a bush baby. I did not even see it. Which way did it go? Jumping in the bushes. Oh, that's a pity. Sorry, Jean-Ray. I didn't even see it. I was concentrating on sorts of wild dogs. Let's see if I'll go nice and slowly. Let's see if we can spot it. That's a pity. It's not often we get to see them during the day, but we will have an opportunity. It seems as though Scott is now on the wild dog search from the Djuma side. We're going to head in that direction from our side and go and have a look at what the pups are up to. Hopefully, if they do get up and start moving, then they will in fact lead us to the adults. And put foot a little bit as we drive along here, just so that we get to see them before they disappear off. Brief pause to beautiful male Inyala. I'm not stopping for long though, I just wanted to show you them. Stunning big males. Sorry Inyala, not that we don't really appreciate you, but this afternoon has been all go from our side. The pups were just along Zebra Drive towards Parallel Road. I hear that there are some exciting things happening around Djuma, and I know Scott is on his way to follow up, so never fear. He's racing off in that direction, and I'm sure he'll have updates for us very soon. In the meantime, I'm going to reduce my speed slightly so that I don't come racing down a road and startle wild dogs that I haven't spotted. Now it could be that they have moved and started heading towards the adults. Alrighty, well, Scott is racing towards the leopard seen on Djuma Dam, so let's head across and you can join him for his Ferrari safari.
Well, hold on tight everyone, we are in a rush. And it's not the first rush we've been in this afternoon. Initially, Liam and I were racing off in the opposite direction as there was a report of a pack of wild dogs coming into the property. And by the time we got there, the wild dogs had already come in, crossed over one of the roads into a very big block. So all we got to see were their tracks, and we were busy looping around the big block that they are in now, somewhere off to our left. And then we got a report that there's a leopard drinking at the Djuma waterhole, so just up ahead of us. We'll be there in about 30 seconds or so, and I don't want to take any chance because it won't having. I'm going to just make sure there's no wild dogs running through the quarantine clearings. Now, they were heading in this direction and they move incredibly quickly. So I wouldn't be surprised if this wild dog sighting doesn't converge on the leopard sighting. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Yeah. And within a few seconds we should be with this leopard. I wonder who it is. I'm guessing either Karula, a female leopard, or her son called Djuma, who's been lurking back in this area after having spent quite a lot of time away from us. Okay, well, we're in luck, and the leopard's just up ahead of us, and we're going to get you some views of it shortly. So much to all of you guys that got us into this fortunate position. It looks like Karula to me, and I'm just going to level off the camera and then zoom you in for a closer look. This is going to be beautiful. And from what I've heard, she's already been here for quite some time, quenching her thirst. And it's been an incredibly hot day, so I don't blame her. And again, like I was saying a bit earlier on in the elephant sighting, there's not much water around at the moment. So all of the animals really do need to make the most of their opportunities for drinking. And this is absolutely spectacular. What a beautiful view. Now, what may be the case, if we're lucky, is that she may have abandoned a carcass that she may be feeding on just to come and have a drink, and may lead us back to that. That would be great if we know where she's got a kill. Or another variable is that she could head off and go hunting, and we could try and follow her. That would be probably more fun than returning simply to a kill that she's already made. This is actually the only leopard that we've actually managed to successfully film making a kill. And that's in 1 year of filming. Only one leopard kill has been captured, so it's not something we see very often. Where are you going to go, Karula, with your muddied chin? And there's some magical light being cast onto her now. The sun has already set, but there's this kind of ambient glow. Oh, now that body language indicates to me that she's seen something possibly tasty. I'm just trying to look behind the vehicle and work out exactly what it is that she's seen. Well, at first glance, I actually can't see anything, but you'll find her eyesight's probably a little better than mine. Listen carefully, you may be able to pick up the faint call of a hyena that's calling in the distance. It just let off one or two soft whoops. Whoop. Now it's getting a bit louder. You may just be able to pick up that audio. She's looking back in the direction of those hyena calls now. She's going to call. I don't know why, if it's just the way she's holding her body or her posture. And wouldn't that be wonderful if we did hear her letting off her loud rasping call? Not yet though. It may happen in a short while. And we're just going to reposition the vehicle and try and get you some new views. Looks like I've been for a perm. I've been driving so quickly this afternoon. My afro is standing on end. She could actually take a slip road between the lodge and the owner of this lodge's house. It's a bit of a thin alleyway which will also take her straight past Jerry and Nikki. Oh, she's scent marking now, and I wish you could smell the popcorn scent that I'm picking up. It smells just like buttered popcorn. She's just kind of holding her pose for longer than normal, but she's already finished her scent mark there. I'll quickly get out my camera and see if I can fire off a few snaps of her as she moves along. What I am going to do is just try and get up ahead of her though. She has seen something up ahead yet, maybe in this undergrowth just in front of us. There's a lot of bushbuck and nyala that hang around this area of Djuma, so there could well be some prey here for her. Let's just stop here and see what she does. And Donna Miller, you've just made a very good comment, and that is that she doesn't look very full-bellied. So the chance of her taking us back to kill, there's another scent mark. Usually 2 or 3 sprays per scent mark. You may have caught the first 2, and now she's just kind of holding that pose for longer than normal. We're going to rush you back to Jamie, she's got some action.
Very quick link. Sorry to rip you away, but the adults have just rushed back to the pups, and I had to get to show you this greeting ceremony. The pups all shot off at one go and went racing to see their parents. Stop here. Hello guys. So the adults that had disappeared off into Djuma returned to the pups, and the pups went dashing across to say hello, exuberantly happy to see the adults back once again. Look at all of those ears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 pups that I count at the moment. They're such perfect little miniatures of their parents. Here they all come trotting towards us. Now they're essentially walking under the car. As you can see, they are more than comfortable with our presence. Hello, little ones. What's up? Look at that beautiful face. Oh, found a stick. Quite a half-hearted attempt to play. We found another one. Nope, that one doesn't make the cut either. Big yawn. And I'm thinking that they might be, or might want to spend the night somewhere in this area. They're going to find a good spot to bed down. There's a lot of round looking bellies, so they definitely don't look starving, but they could have eaten. They do look like they might have wanted some dinner, but I think it's getting a little bit late to that. Now, I am sorry to have rushed you away from your wonderful leopard sighting. The reason I did that is because this will be our last few moments with these pups. You absolutely do not spotlight wild dogs. They're daytime animals, and if you do that, you run the risk of endangering them to attack from lion and leopard. And with so much happening around on Arathusa, never fear, they are a safe distance away from the Birmingham boys, but we want that to stay that way, and we certainly don't want to compromise any of their senses by spotlighting them. So these will be our last few moments with this pack before it's time to go. And as it happens, I think they might be disappearing up further into the bush. Look at those beautiful colors. Lots of screenshots, please, everybody. We're always looking for pictures of their left-hand sides. It's the sort of standard identifying spot. Chandra, are there any pups directly underneath us or close to us? I'm just going to check, just in case. I'm going to reposition, but I thought I'd... They're clear. Okay, perfect. Obviously, as soon as I started the engine, we would have scared them off, but I don't want to run the risk of scaring any of them. One last look at the majority of the family, and then we will say goodbye to our wild dogs and head back across to Scott and Karula. Chandra is keeping a close eye out for me. We'll stop here, show our beautiful pups one last time, and then head back across to Scott and Karula. What a spectacular afternoon this has been. Some of them still almost look a bit wobbly on their legs. We've raced you across in this direction because the parents were returning, and I mentioned that in this particular pack we have the rare circumstance where both the alpha and the beta female have bred and produced a litter of surviving puppies. Now, I know that Raisa, you were wondering if both the alpha and the betas were hunting for the pups. Yes, they were, absolutely. They had left one young female in charge of the puppies and disappeared off. I imagine that little spindly pups like this are a bit of a hindrance if you want to go racing after prey and not have to worry about them. Now, as you can see, it's getting dark and very thick in there. And so I think it's time for us to say goodbye to a very special wild dog pack. Beautiful male. And hopefully we will be able to catch up with them more in the future now that they've left the den. But definitely a memorable experience for all of us. I'm going to leave them now to their nightly excursions. They're probably going to find a nice thick patch of bush. And while... That's definitely one of the alphas, pulling his weight around. Okay. Most of them have disappeared from view. I know that Scott is still with Karula, so let's head back across to him and his Queen of Djuma.
Now that satellite's the satellite that sends the final pictures to you. Oh my word! And that was a bushbuck barking that Karula just tried to pounce onto. She's just in this thick bush in front of us. There's final control where Nikki and Jerry are sitting. Can you believe this action unfolding literally right in front of our office? Here she comes. Just a few meters past our vehicle. Absolutely awesome. Can you believe how lucky we are to be allowed this kind of an insight into such a usually shy and solitary animal? Well, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? So, we are now going to continue. The girls did rush out of final control just for a moment or two. Can you blame them? Of course not, and I urge them to stop everything they were doing to get a glimpse of this leopard walking straight past their office. She's just crossed over now this little road to our right. We're going to have to hurry along. She likes a pathway that takes her along the perimeter of the camp that she quite often uses. So just going to sneak around here, a little bit more racing around. And this is the main access road down to Vuyatela and Gallagher, the two Djuma camps, and she's going to walk straight in front of the entrance gate to these two camps. Seem to be following the fence line just yet, which means she may cross over. A little bit further away from the fence and up to our right over here. I can't believe how close she was to that bushbuck. Incredible. And the girls in FC got a huge fright when that bushbuck did alarm call. They didn't realize that that bark was so loud. There was a very big electrified fence between the girls and the leopard and the bushbuck, though, just to let everyone know that. It wouldn't have been wise just to get them to come out and have a squiz if that wasn't the case. Where are you, Karula? Unless, of course, she's caught wind of another bushbuck. Right here. Just going to turn the vehicle around. In anticipation for her arrival. Leopards, especially Karula, are known to change their course of trajectory and I was just letting Isaac, the maintenance guy, know that there's a leopard about. He was walking along the same very fence that I was expecting Karula to walk along. Thankfully though, these predators, even though they can potentially be deadly to us, there she goes, just across the road in front of us. She just shot across the road. She was trotting after something. So obviously on the trail of another... Sorry, this car doesn't have any dim lights, which is not leaving me with many options here, but I don't want to leave the brights on. This is another pathway that she very often uses, and this is the same pathway that the girls walk along to final control every afternoon and morning. Hold want to shine the lights on her too much. Because if there is some potential prey, I don't want to give away her position. Interestingly enough, this is the first place that I actually also saw Karula. On my first morning here at Djuma. I think it was on the 23rd of November last year when I got to see her, and she had an impala kill. I'm just going to show you where that kill was and then loop ahead quickly. She had an impala kill in this tree, just dangling on that branch over there. It was a baby impala, one of the newborns, and she was actually at the base of the tree when I saw her. And a very pleasant way to be back in the Sabi Sands after being away from this area for about 2.5 or 3 years. You don't get many better leopard viewing areas than this in the whole of Africa. Now these fences that you can see are merely in and around the camp here at Djuma, so it's keeping guests and children who belong to staff members safe at night and even during the day. So Rocky Fella, those are the fences you are seeing. The animals have free rein other than these small islands which keep us humans safe from them. Although having said that, I have seen Karula sneak in under the fence straight into the camp before. Now what this means, this area that we're in, is that it's very difficult to follow her. Oh, here she comes. And I thought she may have ducked out elsewhere. I'm just going to reposition the vehicle one more time, sorry. It's going to be worthwhile. Now we are literally right outside the camp where all of the Djuma staff stay, and we also stay very close by, and here she comes straight towards us. You will see the fence that she's walking along very shortly. There she goes, just meters away from it. What a beautiful animal. And aptly scent marking right outside. Now she's going to head down. This is the route to our house, our accommodation, that she's busy heading towards now. And this is very important to remember, that she's not tame. She's a wild cat, but she's realized that we as humans don't actually pose a threat to her. So she doesn't mind coming into our environs. And I've actually known leopards in the Sabi Sands to prefer spending time around camps, especially when they've got young cubs to look after, because it's much safer in a camp than outside of it. Most other predators can't make their way into the camp area because of the fence and because they do not want to be around us, but leopards understand that it's actually a potential safe haven where that they can leave their cubs out of harm's way. So instead of walking down this hill, she walked straight up it. And she's just walked past the entrance to where we stay, which I'll point out to you right now. So this is the entrance to our house over here. Can you believe it? And she's just passed meters by in front of us. Now because she clearly is hunting, And I think there could be some bushbuck in this area for her to hunt. They usually hang out outside VM's bedroom every night, the bushbuck. I don't want to disadvantage her or advantage the bushbuck by shining the spotlight on her. So I think we are going to be leaving her as she continues from here. There's clearly something that's got her attention up ahead. And I'm thinking of actually making our way out right now. We've had such great views of her. And as soon as it becomes dark, the only way to film effectively is to have night vision where we're not going to impact on the scenario and either help or disadvantage either of the animals involved. So time to say goodbye to Karula, the Queen of Djuma, and we are going to head off in search of some other interesting animals. It is night time now. We could find some bush babies. It's easier to spot chameleons now, and she's clearly intent on something. So our options are either to switch off and sit here and wait in silence, and all you'll get to do is watch me, and then if she does catch something, then we can race in and have a closer look. But failing that, it would be unwise for us to stick around and kind of not very thoughtful on our behalf. So we've had a great sighting. Let's try and be as less intrusive to these animals as possible, and that way we'll continue to be spoiled by them and be allowed such close views and such great views of them. Whereas if we start interfering with their lives, they will start acting otherwise, understandably. She's now continued on and is pacing down the road. There's no ways the camera's going to be able to show you that, but you'll have to take my word for it, and I just want to leave her to do her business, and we'll carry on and see what else we can find. The area she's heading into is also a very tricky area, or impossible area to drive a vehicle. Oh, I think I can smell our dinner cooking. It smells very good, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Donna and Bull have noticed that our gate is wide open, and you're right, it's a branch of a tree that I was going to be doing my exercise on, a pull-up bar, and the very next morning I came in and we had forgot to close the gates, and an elephant had ripped down this massive branch off which my pull-up bar was hanging. I wasn't very impressed. Paul Rizzo. Paul Rizzo is wondering if Karula is the size of a North American cougar. I don't have the faintest idea of how big a North American cougar is, Paul, but she's about 80 pounds. Between how heavy your North American cougars are, just so that we all know. What you'll find, Paul, is that leopards, even within the same country, even within South Africa, may vary greatly in size depending on the area that you find them in. There's been some female leopards that have been recorded at no more than 20 to 25 kilograms, which is 40. So you get some very, very small leopards, not only in South Africa, but in varying parts of Africa, and you also get some massive ones. So I guess, again, if we look at ourselves as humans as a species, there's many different shapes and sizes. And it's the same for all the animals on the continent, really. Karula has been doing a lot of mating recently, evidently unsuccessfully. We're not sure whether it's the male's fault or the female's or her fault. But Kathy in Tennessee would like to know when a female leopard like Karula does come into season, will she mate with the first male that she comes across, or will she seek out specific males? And I think a combination of the two, Kathy, but she certainly will be seeking out certain males because she knows that only the father of her cubs, or male leopards that think they are the father of her cubs, will tolerate them. So if her territory is on the buffer zone of two male leopards, which is quite possible, so two male leopards territories may overlap one female's much smaller territory, and then it would be in her best interest to mate with both, and she'll know that. So depending on whichever is closest by, she'll mate with first, and then quite often seek out the second one, possibly even a third, in order to ensure her cubs have a greater likelihood of not being killed by any leopard who does not feel that he is her cubs' fathers. So I hope that makes sense, Kathy. There's no strict rules though, and I guess every mating situation and every female leopard is difficult. In terms of research, that's certainly what we've come up with. There's no conclusive set pattern to leopards mating. We should poke our nose down here and see if we can't find any sign of lurking about in this general area at about midday. And Jamie is also searching in this general area. She's just a little bit further south of us now at Treehouse Dam. And why don't you guys jump onto her vehicle for an update to see how her Djuma hunt is going, and hopefully we'll meet you somewhere along the way.
For the last few moments of our sunset safari, both Scott and myself are scouring the area for Mr. Djuma, who played games with me this morning as I was trying to track him. I'm at Treehouse Dam at the moment. This is where, it's around the area where I was tracking him. I went to look for him this morning at Treehouse Dam, and he kindly waited about 2 hours before making his appearance here for somebody else. But you never know, he might have headed back here. It's a perfect time of evening for a leopard to come and have a quick drink at the muddy puddle that is all that is left of Treehouse Dam. Taking a shortcut across the dam so we can check all of the nooks and crannies on the edges, as well as the trees, because on hot days like today there's a chance that a leopard will seek the cool shade up in the boughs and the branches to just get a little bit above the baking soil. And it really does feel like on days like today, when you get to the evening time, you can feel the earth releasing its heat. It just radiates upwards. And it's hard to believe that, I think it was probably about 3 days ago, I wouldn't say I was moaning, but I think that depends on whose perspective that you're looking at it from. I was definitely talking quite a bit about how freezing cold I was, and how it didn't feel anything like midsummer. Well, it certainly does now. Djuma has been hanging out around this area. I hear, of course, it is before my time working for Wild Earth and driving these roads, but I do hear that this is where he liked to be when he was a little bit younger and just gaining independence from Karula. Apparently he spent a lot of time around Treehouse Dam area. I also feel for some reason, in the excitement of all of the afternoon, my booster seat of blankets has shifted ever so slightly, creating a minor lean off to the left. So if you see me straining back to the right, it's because I'm about to fall down. struggle on for the last few moments. Come on, Kunuma. I'm so desperate to see Kunuma properly. I've heard so much about him and what a character he is and how entertaining he can be. And I've only had the very briefest of visuals of him, having spent one entire morning tracking him. Either way, what a spectacular afternoon it has been. We really have been spoiled with those sightings. As we drove away from that wild dog sighting, the rest of the adults were racing back towards the pups. Didn't look like they'd made a kill, they were just on their way back to spend the night together, tucked away in the bush somewhere. But it was still amazing to move through with all of our lights off and just hear the greeting squeaks and squeals of the puppies and the adults as they greeted each other. One last resort, I'm going to head towards our old hyena den. It was the active hyena den when I started working here. We'll go and have a look there. Spotted something, but I think it is just an impala or a steenbok. But either way, I'm going to speed up a little bit. Let's go see what that is. Oh, no. Definitely a hapless antelope. Oh, whoops. I didn't even know you could do that on Jigger. Sorry, Bookie. That was completely unintentional. I was just trying to dim my lights. Well, there you go. It's nice to know. Oh, elephant. Didn't mean to hoot at the elephant either. Sorry, Ellies. It's nice to know that our vehicles are still fully functioning, and if we ever need to use the horn or the hooter, it is there. Learn something new every day. I wasn't really expecting to learn how to use the horn on Jigger though, and certainly didn't intend to hoot at the wildlife. Sorry everybody. I'm not sure how many of you were watching my interview drive when I was interviewing for this position at Wild Earth, but it was one of the very first sightings of the Styx cubs, and I accidentally hooted at them. Instead of pressing and unlocking the immobilizer, I pressed the wrong button and promptly hooted at the lions. And there was a distinct feeling of mortification at that point. You can imagine, if you put yourself in my shoes, interviewing for a new job at a wildlife show, and then you promptly hoot at the wildlife. You can imagine the feeling of mortification that accompanied it. Well, quite an incredible afternoon. Now, we spent so much time with a wild dog pack that I have never ever seen before today, and that is apparently, as confirmed by the people working in research of the wild dog packs around here, by Grant himself, that was the Sands half-tailed pack, numbering 21 animals. Incredible to see. I've never seen so many wild dogs in one pack. It was so exciting. I can't even put it into words, and I'm so glad I was able to share that moment with all of you. And then of course our time spent with the Birmingham boys, as well as the very lucky Tingana, who has managed to escape the attentions of Shadow for the moment. I'm sure she's going to find him at some point during the evening. Just looping around the old hyena den, which has been significantly shaped by the elephants, but we'll show you that some other time. Definitely doesn't look the same as the last time I was here. Well, it has been a wonderful evening. I'm going to stop here for the moment and just say goodbye and farewell to all of you. And a big thank you to Jean-Ray for his fantastic camera work, and I'm really, really sorry about the tree. I'm glad that Jean-Ray has pretty much escaped unscathed. Well, have a wonderful day or evening, bolstered by a fantastic sunset safari, and we will head across to Scott for the last few moments of our brilliant evening. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Cheers for now.
So, no luck with Djuma yet, but the safari isn't quite over. Vim and I have come to one of our favorite roads, a memorable road for us because we...
Right, this is the lighting.
And continue to talk for the rest of the evening. We have only a couple of moments left in our sunset safari. Unfortunately, Scott cannot say goodbye to you all. He's just run out of signal at last final stand of the gremlins that have been attacking Wendy today. So we'll do one more circuit of our hyena den, and I will say goodbye to you all on Scott's behalf as well as my own. So we've still got a little bit of time for that last opportunity to spot Djuma. Either way, we'll have a great, watch, going through here, we'll have a great opportunity and a great starting point for our sunset safari. Perhaps I'll finally get to meet Djuma properly and enjoy his company. And Bren, since we have got this little bit of extra unexpected time, we wanted to confirm the name of the wild dog pack. It is the Sands Half-Tail pack. So the half-tail pack that you have seen in the past, but now with the pups out and about and away from the den. So on behalf of Scott, a big thanks to Viam, who was on camera with him, as well as to our fantastic ladies in FC, to Jerry and to Nikki. They've done a wonderful job. And of course to all of you for your fantastic questions and the interesting topics we've discussed. Have a wonderful day, and this time it actually is goodbye.